Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over cards you probably should be picking up before Photon Hypernova or before the ban list. So we're gonna go over a couple things that I found in OCG deck lists and just a couple engines and cards that to me make sense you probably should keep on hand, either because they're cheap and just why not, or because, like I said, there are OCG builds that run certain cards and all of that. As the first card, we're going to be covering King of the Swamp. Now, this one basically in the OCG, it started to see play because Kit Kalos got banned, and because Kit Kalos got banned, its name is on Rule Kalos and you cannot go into Rule Kalos anymore, except there is King of the Swamp, which is acting as a name. And not only that, people are summoning the Grafa Overlord fusion with it as well, because it's functioning as the name that's written on the Overlord as material. So there's that as well. And also, the fact that you can run polymerization makes it so that you can summon Guardian Chimera in Tier Element as well. So you play a bunch of different fusions actually with Grafa, Tier Element, like even more of them, but there is no Kit Kalos. So utilizing King of the Swamp just makes it so why not play those extra deck monsters as well. So those are options for you. And also another package that started to see play in the Tier Element deck in the OCG was the Shadow stuff. So people started to play Winda. And with it, there's also Squamata and Beast, because they just make for the best names when they're sent to the graveyard. With Squamata, you're sending anyway, and with Beast, you get to draw a card, which is really nice. So then you get to go into Winda, which is still a very, very nice and strong monster, being able to just be slapped on top of your entire board. And another Shadow monster, the House Shadow Hollow, I think is called, started to see play as well, because it's able to send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. So with Kit Kalos before, you knew almost for a fact you're going to be able to mill 5 as well and get additional resources. And without it, I guess the House Shadow is sort of acting as another Kit Kalos in a way of milling things, of course, and then also going into Winda. So that's an option. And also with Shadow Fusion seeing play in the side deck, I think that's really, really nice, because you get to access your deck. And another fusion that's also seeing play is the Shekinaga, because if you want to send a Tier Element as material for a dark monster, you can also send the Shizu cards as material for the Earth monster, which is Shekinaga. So I think that's so nice, because it's another way for you to start playing and to get to your engines. So, you know, Tier Element is still insane in the OCG, and it got severely hit. And I also want to point out that I don't think it's getting as bad here in the TCG. So those cards are basically just ideas for you to maybe keep on hand, because they're all quite accessible. And with Guardian Chimera also receiving a reprint in March, it's also going to be so easy to pick up that card. And even though the ban list probably won't be that bad, because it is the first one that's going to hit Tier Element ever since they were released here in the TCG, I still think, like, why not just keep those packages, you know, in your binder and just have them ready, so you don't need to like go crazy and scramble and like try to get the cards when it's a bit too late. So there's that. And for the next one, we're going to be mentioning the Ancient Fairy Dragon. So it had to be mentioned on this list because we all know that it came back in the OCG and it did receive an errata, making it a hard once per turn and also unable to search the same name of the field spell that was destroyed by its effect. So you cannot do that anymore, and also it's a hard once per turn. So it made it much worse. And me personally, as you all know by now probably, I just really don't like erratas. I think they're sort of like useless in a way, because like if a card was printed in a certain way, just keep it on the ban list if it's too much. I don't think it's cool when it becomes worse for it just to come off the ban list so people can play it. I don't know, it's just my opinion on it. I'm all for erratas in a way where, you know, if a mistranslation happened or just to clarify things or something, but not thinking about that, thinking about simply erratas that make cards worse, I think that's lame. So with my rant out of the way, Ancient Fairy Dragon is still probably coming back. So you can still pick up any copies you may want to play post it's like errata being officially legal in the TCG, because you can still play non-errata copies. You just need to play it as per the effect it's actually working. But you can still play older copies. So if you want, you can pick them up. And for the next package, we're going to be discussing Tri-Brigade. So that was the thing that I mentioned where it's very cheap and you can just keep it on hand. Even though some copies are sort of slowly going up in price because it's been some time from the reprint, and also because, and that's a reason why I'm talking about PHHY Brigade is started to see a bunch of play in the OCG because with Sprite getting some hits on the ban list, PHHY Brigade started to be the other engine that's getting paired up together with it. So Jet is at 1, Starter is at 1. And over here, I don't think that's going to be the case. I might be wrong, but I genuinely don't think it's going to either at all get hit or it's not going to get hit in a severe way. So it might not even happen here, but I still wanted to mention PHHY Brigade because it's so cheap to pick up and you can just have it ready. It's not a bad deck by itself, and it's most definitely not a bad engine to pair together with something else. And looking at the OCG, how it actually did over there, it managed to be probably like the best deck for some time, until people realized Tier Limit is still going to be good. But yeah, like it was nice. And I figured like, why not just pick up an engine and just keep it, just have it ready, and it might see play over here. Even though if it doesn't get severely hit, I still think the, you know, Bistio Sprite hand trap, like the purest version possible with tech cards is the version to play, is the way to go. But it's not going to cost you a lot to pick up PHHY Brigade if you want, so why not just do it if you feel like you might be trying to run Sprite for a longer period of time, even if it gets hit on the ban list. So the next card I wanted to mention is actually going to be Super Polymerization. And it's an interesting card to think about because if people don't really expect it, they start to, you know, they're kind of lacking and they just don't think about how to adjust their end board so they don't lose to Super Poly. And if the Tier Element deck actually starts utilizing Winda, it's just an annoying card to out. So if you're able to use Super Polymerization and have enough space in the extra deck, you can just easily break their board, go for something like a Dragostapelia, or you can play Garura in the extra deck as well if you have enough space to be able to contend against like rogue matchups. And I just think Super Poly is such a strong card, especially if it's completely unexpected. So yeah, it's not a bad card. If you don't have enough space, it's completely understandable. But if you do, I still wanted to mention it. So the next card we're going to be talking about is the Earth Charmer. So Austa has been seeing play for some time now in the Tier Element deck with Ishizu cards and Fenrir being very good Earth targets. And with Kashtira entering the meta, even more targets are going to be there for you because you're going to play against more people that utilize those cards. So if you know, like right now, oh, okay, I might be paired up against a mirror match or against someone utilizing Fenrir, with Kashtira taking up a lot of representation, I think at least, you're going to have more targets and also it's going to be even more useful. So taking a Fenrir is putting a lot of pressure on the board, and taking Ishizu cards is either forcing their shufflers or just taking a level 4 body that you can utilize. So I think Austa is going to be so strong moving forward. And for the next 2 cards I wanted to mention, it's going to be both Impermanence and Nibiru. Impermanence, much better. Probably the best hand trap. If you're trying to play any hand trap, just play Impermanence. It doesn't lose to Tasking, it doesn't lose to Talents. It's very nice as a 6th card as well. And it's just universally applicable, as well as being able to be set or searched off of Tasking. So there's a lot of good things to say about Impermanence. And Nibiru I also wanted to mention because it's so good against Kashtira. It's going to have a lot of impact, I think, and unless they start to utilize some cards to somehow put a negation on the board, it's almost always going to be able to break their board completely because they just don't put up negations. And Nibiru is going to be very nice. Probably in the side deck though, because like it's only as strong against Kashtira. But I still think, you know, people are going to play it. But as for the last card, it's a bit more, how to put this? Like, I'm not sure how many people will play it. Just because it's Chaos Hunter, right? And it's very, very nice against Kashtira, but it's only nice against Kashtira. And I think with the side deck being as tight as it is already with only 15 spots, you maybe won't play Chaos Hunter just because it's not as great against other matchups as well. So I still wanted to mention it because it is very strong against Kashtira. You are completely preventing them from playing with a lot of different cards that they run, Diablosis with Rice Heart, and they basically need to either beat over it or take control of it if they want to get rid of it, which is not always going to be possible with you protecting that Chaos Hunter. But it's still only very good against Kashtira. And if you're able to run a card like Book of Eclipse and actually use it against other matchups as well, Chaos Hunter might not be as great. It's similar to Nibiru in a way, but Nibiru is still going to be strong against some other matchups at least, whereas Chaos Hunter is very much Kashtira focused. If you're able to get a ton of value off of its discard, that's very, very important, because if you play an Interior Element and you pitch like an Agido or Kelbeck, and we've been talking about that for like a couple months back already, if you're able to plus off of it, sure. But it's not always going to be the case in every single deck, so I'm not sure how much play Chaos Hunter is actually going to be seeing, even though it's a strong card. So with that, those are going to be all of the cards I feel like you should be picking up, and there's always probably many more things to talk about. So if there's anything that you would maybe want to comment on or remind people about, please leave them in the comments down below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, sub to the channel, check out all the social media, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.